I'm gonna fall. What's happening, my fellow geeks and geekettes? Welcome to a brand new, very special, very exciting episode of Cosplay. Chris, I'm joined by a very special guest, the one, the only, Cam.
Hi.
How you going, mate?
How you going, mate?
So, we saw Halloween last night. We were lucky enough to be invited to the Australian premiere, joined by Jamie Lee Curtis, so that was on behalf of Playmaker Digital. So, we're gonna do something different today. We're gonna give our quick, spoiler-free thoughts on the film, and then we're gonna go into spoiler territory, man, because the film's been out in the States for a week. So the film came out on the Thursday. Give it a bit of time to digest with everyone, but you know, I think it's time now we can talk about spoilers, and we can't really talk about the movie without spoilers.
Yeah, definitely. It's one of those things that you can give like a total overview, but when you want to, if you're a Halloween fan, you want to get into all the nitty gritty Easter eggs, things like that. So
and there's a lot, man. So first and foremost, your spoiler-free thoughts on the film.
I loved it. I really did. I thought going into this film, from past films, recent films, it wasn't a bar that they couldn't set up, so they could go into this completely fresh. They could reset the timeline, just do the character justice. I think that was the biggest thing, like just make Michael scary again, not make him supernatural, but sort of just bring back the randomness and the brutality that we all know and love. So it was good to see. It was really good.
Exactly, mate. My thoughts exactly, and because Jamie Lee Curtis came out, introduced the film, she put it perfectly, because the host asked, are we just supposed to forget from Halloween 2 onwards? She goes, no, you don't. We're not forgetting them, but it's just from the events of 1978, draw a line to 2018, just on their own.
Connect the points.
Yeah, exactly. And this film deals with a lot of PTSD on an individual, even though her experience and interaction with him on that night in 1978 was minimal. The effect it can have on a person in terms of mentally and physically is really explored in this film. The shape is brutal, like more brutal than ever. They've done the character justice again. They've been faithful to the mythology, the source material, everything. Jamie Lee Curtis was amazing, and this is probably one of her best performances ever.
Oh, for sure. Like, just it's a very strong female role, but
yeah,
it was good seeing the effects that it had on her daughter, her granddaughter, and even other members of the family. Like, it's, you know, anyone that goes through PTSD, it doesn't just affect you, you know, it affects your family. So it's good seeing, you know, all the different repercussions that it can have, and it was a really strong female role. And
exactly, man. Good. And 3 generations of Strode women going up against Michael Myers is amazing to see. Like, the climax is amazing. We will delve into that when we talk about the spoilers, but for the most part, it was one of those things where everyone said the same thing. This is the best sequel we're ever going to get, and I totally agree, because everyone is expecting a carbon copy of the 1978 film, but times change. You know, we're in 2018 now. It's weird seeing modern technology in a Halloween film, but it's just because we're creatures of habit, and we want that feel from 1978. But this is just the transition from then to now. I think it's done perfectly. Granted, there are some little bits that were just off for me.
Oh yeah, it definitely had a few little itty bitty bits, but for the most part, like, it's just full of Easter eggs. It is,
man. And fan service.
And fan service. Like I said, it doesn't destroy all the other films, but it puts aspects from each of those films and puts them into this film, and it was just great with the brutality. I thought it was, really enjoyed it.
Yeah, man.
Had a great time.
How many geeks out of 5 would you give it?
4.5.
I'm gonna go 4.5 too.
I think that, like, every movie, you go through movies that aren't perfect. You know, even some of the newest ones, like even Venom, stuff like that. You know, there's things that can be worked on, sure, but you know, there's no set bar for this one. So it was its own thing, and no, I definitely really enjoyed it, and
yeah, nothing's ever going to top the original. Also, by the way, you're gonna notice behind us we've got our Michael Myers masks. So these are from Trick or Treat Studios. So these come from the same, you know, molds and generations of molds as the Screen Used masks, which is really cool. This is Cam's, this is mine. Cam has repainted his, and Cam actually helped me repaint mine. I learned a lot of stuff. So I'm gonna be doing a video on how we repainted this. We're also wearing the same make and model coveralls that were used in the film. So essentially the video is gonna be about acquiring all the, the same make and model parts of the costume, and obviously the Trick or Treat Studios mask to have essentially the ultimate Michael Myers Halloween 2018 costume. So I'm very excited about that, man. Thank you for helping me with that. That was good fun. Learn a lot of stuff, because haven't painted latex in a long time, since I was in high school. So it's been quite a break since then, and technologies have changed with adhesives and paints and all that. So it's a pretty cool method. Cam came up with it. He's got his own little concoction of stuff that we use as a base coat, which is very cool. So, all right, man, I think it's time to get into spoiler territory. We've given brief spoiler-free analysis of what we think. Just a warning, spoilers are coming up, guys. This is spoiler alert right now. You've had your chance. If not, go see the film. Come back to this part here. So, first and foremost, I want to talk about the deaths and the body count. We have a body count of 19. That is a massive, big ratio compared
to the original.
The original. So
they had to make up for, obviously, they're cutting out certain films, so it's just like one now. Let's make him scary.
Yeah.
So and they did that. Oh wow.
He is brutal in this film. So as you guys have seen in the trailer, it's it's not a spoiler at all. He's being transferred to another place of incarceration. The bus crashes and Michael escapes. And the first couple of kills, it's like as if he's not getting his groove back, but he's just getting that fix again. So there's a lot of tracking shots going through the houses, man. What do you think of those?
I loved it. I loved just seeing the complete randomness. So where he starts off, obviously the bus, and anyone that's within his path, he will kill.
Yep. Man,
woman, child.
Ooh. He kills a child. So obviously the father and son that pull over and find the bus in the ditch, and the patients wandering around, and that's mirroring the original when Loomis and the nurse go to pick Michael up to transfer him, and they're all wandering around on the grounds.
Maybe someone gave you driving lessons.
He was doing very well last night. So that was cool that they mirrored that, and there's a lot of stuff that is mirrored in this film.
There is
towards
a lot of change roles.
A lot of really cool role reversals. So that was full on, man. It kind of set the tone for how brutal he's going to be when he snaps that kid's neck from the back seat. Like we were saying, there's these steady cam tracking shots of Michael going literally from house to house, and some of those shots are in the trailer where he just comes in through the back, and there's a lady at her front window with the blinds, just grabs her, puts a knife through her neck, and that's just
it's interesting seeing. Like, I know they're all like, oh, Michael doesn't have emotion, but you can see he's pissed. Like 40 years, he's not like stalking and he's going after people. He's just being like, you're going to die, and he comes at them and he just kills them. That's
it. It's even scarier where there's no motive for a certain person. Obviously with Laurie Strode, after 40 years, he's got a vendetta against Laurie, but just picking off randoms, that's
to get
horrifying.
To them. Like he sits on the street and he looks and he's like, I'm going to kill you, and he'll turn. And it's just seeing him go, and he's like, oh, there's a weapon there, kill that person, go through, kill another person. It was just...
Obtaining his weapons.
Because, he was obtaining his weapons, but it was so scary. Like, he's using not just knives, he's using a cowbell.
Yeah, the cowbell, man. That's crazy.
Hammers, things like that. Like
the fire poker at the end in Laurie's house.
It's just like random objects, and it's just completely random. Like, it's just scary. I think that's what was scary about the original. Is I don't know if he was fascinated with her, but he saw her and he's like, I'm going to kill you. And then obviously the personal vendetta happens, and
I think the vulnerability and the innocence is what arouses him.
It's just babysitters being killed.
But that's it. That's exactly right.
There was that in this, but it wasn't like, oh no, another babysitter killing movie. It was like everyone that's in the street or anyone that's between him and Laurie is going to get killed.
And the special effects were amazing. So special effects were done by Christopher Nelson. You guys know he won the Oscar for Suicide Squad, and he makes a cameo in this film as a cop.
He was brilliant.
Yeah, it was
loved him.
Him and the other copper had a great dynamic and just kind of twiddle-dum thing going on in a cop car, and they're essentially at the front of were they in the front of Laurie's house?
Yeah,
kind of patrolling.
On the land,
on the land patrolling, because as you see in the trailer, Laurie's house is like Fort Knox, and this is what PTSD has done to this woman after 40 years.
Solitude,
That's it. She's ready for him to come back, and she just feels it in her waters that he is going to come back. So, and yeah, Christopher Nelson played a part in this, and he became a victim ultimately of Michael Myers, and became that lovely jack-o'-lantern head
Imagine
with the
doing
torch
that.
through it.
Just imagine that, like, oh, what are you doing for the film? You're gonna make your own head cut out like a pumpkin.
He's like, I don't know how to feel about that. But it's cool because obviously,
Stop me up.
yeah, that's it. He designed the masks for the film along with Justin Mabry and Vincent Van Dyke, which is really cool. The three of them collaborated, and I honestly think it's a beautiful looking mask in the film.
Best representation of the mask. Like, I love the original, but that's my favourite.
Definitely, man. And the screen used mask today doesn't exactly look like this, but it's one of those things where yeah, it's all like warped and everything. But if they had have gone for that, it just would look goofy. Whereas you have to kind of fake it a little, but still make it look crude. Yeah. There's remnants of like Rob Zombie and stuff like that in there.
With the rotting and stuff.
Exactly, but still, so special effects were fantastic.
Very minimal. Very like.
Yeah.
It was some there, but it wasn't like, you know, obviously the blood and some spots, but it wasn't like CG. You're not like CGing a whole backdrop.
The only CG I think is when the lady got the knife through the neck.
But that was brutal. So yeah, quickie.
That was just, you know,
little bitch,
stab and run. And the kills that happened off screen, a lot of people had said a lot of kills happened off screen. I think they worked a lot. Like when Michael stalks the podcasters who interview Laurie to get the coveralls from the mechanic and obviously obtain his mask again, because his mask is essentially like his security blanket and like a teddy bear. When you see him, the journalist pull the mask out in the asylum.
It's like one side of him. Like, it's like we saw in even the Rob Zombie one. Like he didn't like his face. Like that mask completed him. It was like his drugs essentially. Like it just calmed him down. But he's a calm killer. And
he hides behind
it. So.
And that the scene where they find the mechanic and the cashier dead, you know, the mechanic's been stripped, and the cashier's had his face smashed against the desk.
His jaw open.
Yeah, man, just it was everywhere. So we have a new doctor / psychologist, psychiatrist in this film.
The new Loomis.
The new Loomis, yeah. This guy's much more of a nutter than Loomis, in my opinion. So there's a scene, obviously, where they find Michael on the street, the sheriff, Laurie's granddaughter and the doctor. They run Michael down, and the doctor kills the sheriff because he wants to keep Michael alive and study him more. So it's gone beyond patient treatment, it's obsession. What were your thoughts on that?
Kind of an interesting plot point. I mean, I expected it because I wanted, like, from the start, I'm like, how did the bus crash? Like, was it a freak accident? Or I believe it was him. He sabotaged the bus, like he stabbed the driver. And then somehow, everyone escapes. Michael escapes, but he's still alive. He's hiding in the back of the bus.
Michael would have killed him.
He would have killed him. I'm surprised he didn't. Yeah, but it became an obsession, I think. And he, like I said, he was like, oh, so this is what it feels like.
All he wanted was Michael to talk, just to break those boundaries and that barrier and get Michael to talk. So ultimately, Michael stomps his head in, and that was actually a pretty cool effect. So he does kill the doctor, which just enforces again just how brutal he is in this film, and he just will not stop and go through anyone at this point. The score, absolutely loved the score.
We've listened to it in the car a few times, and it's amazing.
So Carpenter and his son did it.
Yep.
Back again with synthesizers, just that 70s, 80s, just retro feel.
The opening, I love the opening.
Opening was great.
Very 80s.
Even the title cards, the credits, just the font was just, that was very reminiscent. That took me back to 78, even though I never saw the film in 78, but just the feeling of it all with the synthesizers and everything, the opening credits with the pumpkin.
I loved it. It was like, sort of
put in reverse.
Reverse itself, like reverse time, which was cool.
Yeah, man. So score was definitely on point. I wanted to get that on vinyl. So I think the biggest question is the ending. Now, if you guys have seen the ending, and I'm assuming you have because you made it this far.
Yeah. If not, bad luck.
Exactly. So the twist at the end is Laurie's house isn't a fortress to keep Michael out. It's a trap. They have the cellar, where the kitchen bench folds away and you can go downstairs to the cellar, but it's actually a trap. And lock him in, and the gas valves open, set him alight, but
Sets the room alight.
Sets the room alight. So, you put it perfectly.
So I had a feeling that, we'll talk about the Easter eggs after this as well, because there's a lot of H1, H2, and if you don't see the body burn.
Rule one.
So
all we see is him looking up at Laurie as flames are engulfing the room. Not him, just looking up at Laurie, and then they run.
Yep. So they leave, obviously. But again, like, our theory is that, so in the movie, she shoots him through the roof, or I don't know if she hits him or something. He
You
falls
hear a stumble.
and he puts a hole in the roof. Well, she does, sorry. So my theory is either if there's another way out of the cellar, but I believe that the hole in the roof is a weak point.
Yep.
So it's Michael. He's got like 3 fingers on one hand and
So
shit. And
she's blasted
there's plenty of
his
stuff
fingers off.
down there. He could.
Of course, he's got an arsenal of weapons down there. There is an exit point, but he wouldn't know about that. But it makes sense that he knew that there's a weak point, smash his way through. And at the very end of the credits, there's no, obviously after credits scene, you just hear him breathing in the mask, which is...
And it ends. The movie ends abruptly, and like I said, you see the truck pull up, and she's like, "Oh, can you help us?" You don't see the driver.
Yep.
So I believe that that person is either one of the inmates or something, or someone that we saw at the gas station. Something like that. This is not where they're going to end it.
No, and...
They're not rebooting the franchise, but there will be 3. So you'll have the original, this one, and there'll be one more.
To complete the trilogy, so last but not least, Easter eggs and fan service. We got a lot, man. I loved the fact, so if you guys don't know, the model knife they used in the first one, the big butcher's knife, is a Lamson. That's the brand, and there is a Lamson or a replica of a Lamson in this film, which is cool. And even the Halloween 3 Season of the Witch silver shamrock mask, the pumpkin, the skull, and the witch made an appearance as little kids trick-or-treating in the street.
Yeah. Even just the small things like the therapist pulling out the scalpel.
Very
Halloween
H2.
2.
Yeah.
Obviously the burning of Michael. The house, the doll house, that was kind of a weird thing. She had like a replica doll house.
That's right. Laurie built a replica of the Myers house, a little doll house in her place of residence. So I don't know. Maybe that's her way of dealing with the PTSD.
Probably the best scene is when he throws her off the roof and she hits the ground and he looks at her lying there. He looks away and he looks back and she's gone. It's just like, ooh.
The whole audience collapsed.
Yeah.
I'm like,
taste your own medicine.
Yeah, shit. And Jamie Lee Curtis, like I said, this is one of her best performances. She is a weapon in this. Like, obviously, she has trained for this for 40 years. She's trained her daughter. She's trained her granddaughter. And it's just amazing to see the effects of what PTSD can do to a person, regardless of how small or how big the event or the trauma is. Like I said, you know, her interaction with Michael is quite minimal in the first one.
It's very emotional as well. Like in this one, like, you know, she goes and looks and she just breaks down, like she's drinking, she's breaking down. She's like, he ruined her life.
Exactly.
But it's also good to see a character that's just like fortified herself, not being like, I told you so. It's just like, prepare yourself. She never rubbed that in like, oh, you're gonna die, like your husband's gonna die. Like, she is protecting her family because, like she says, she doesn't care what happens to her as long as her family's alive. So
yeah.
No, it was really good to see and really emotional, and I think it was good to see a lot of women power in there. That was...
Yeah, man, absolutely. Like, I keep saying, 3 generations of strode women. It's amazing to see, and it is mentioned by the journalists who come and interview Laurie. You know, twice divorced, and I was hoping one of them was Ben Tramer. I was like,
we never know. It could
be. Could imagine they're just like one Ben Tramer, just be like, oh, poor Ben Tramer.
Poor bugger.
So, man, overall, thoroughly happy with this. This is the best sequel we're ever going to get. It had fan service, Easter eggs. Michael is brutaler than ever. They did him justice.
The pacing.
Pacing was good.
I think the only small thing, like, I wanted to see more Jamie Lee. I wanted to see, like, from start. Like, obviously you had to set up, but she was such like a... Once it hit her and they entered the house, it was just death. That was it. And when she's hunting down Michael in her own house, it's kind of reversed because the hunter has now become the hunted, and she's shutting off the doors. Like, you're not getting the advantage on me. She's locking every door,
clearing it, locking each door. And it's because there's minimal music. Your heart's racing. The mythology and the source material has been respected.
It'll get better.
It will get better. You know, they have to up the ante in the next one. You know, the shape is still alive for sure.
The body count's gonna climb.
Oh man, like from how many was it? 3 or 4 in the first one? 5.
I think 5.
And we've got to include the poor mechanic that no one acknowledges. Yeah. So to jump from that to a body count of 19 for this one,
they had to make up for it, and they did. Yeah. They made him scary within minutes. Within him putting that mask on, he was scary. And
he probably, when he put that on, it's like, I'm home again. I've got the coveralls. It's just, you know, people who have...
He's just complete.
Yeah, exactly. You have to have a routine, and he's back in that routine again after 40 years. So he's complete again. He's a force to be... After 40 years, all that pent-up rage is a force to be reckoned with. So he's just an unstoppable machine.
Even though he's old, he's 61.
He's still got it. So even the way they've done the sound design with his footsteps, it makes it sound like he weighs 200 kilos. The guy's a unit. Very, very well done. Even just the ambient noise when the score's not playing and it goes silent, you're bracing for an impact. So guys, we thoroughly enjoyed it. I want to see what your theories are in the comment section down below. It's going to be interesting to see what other people think in terms of if he's dead or not.
Yeah, I mean, if they've greenlit a sequel, then
he's alive.
We know.
So, and also other little Easter eggs maybe you and I have missed that people have picked up on.
I'm looking forward to seeing it again.
It's one of those things where you got to see it again to pick up little things here and there.
For us, we enjoyed it. There are going to be people that don't enjoy this, you know, certain groups. You know, not everyone could see eye to eye on this movie. But no, it was great. Jamie Lee Curtis, all the cast, amazing job.
They all brought their A game, man.
Yeah, and it was good seeing a bit of humour in there as well. Like, it took...
Quite funny.
You could make like a really serious movie, but it just doesn't feel... Like, there was a lot of humour in the original one, but it was different humour back then.
I think also they try and make it unintentional humour.
Yeah.
Like, not shoved in your face, but very well done. Guys, thank you so much as always for watching. Cam, thank you as always, man.
No,
Last night was damn good fun. Guys, like I said, I will have a video up probably next week of how we painted up the Trick or Treat Studios mask. So I'm also going to show...
Today, Junior.
I'm also going to be showing you guys what these brand of coveralls are, the boots that they use in the film, hell, even the undershirt that they use in the film, so you guys can source your own screen accurate Michael Myers mask. So guys, with that being said, wherever you are in the world, have yourselves a cracker of a day. Hope you're well, hope you're happy, be merry, be silly, and until next time, geeks, please always remember,
cosplayers do it best.
Yeah, boy.
It looks like Nick Castle and James G. Courtney, where they're like this.
Oh yeah.
I'm the short one.
Alright.